So, but apparently, Ludwig released a video.
All right, chat.
18 hours
if
ago,
you guys haven't,
titled "Creator Clash 3 is over," and so I think what the part that I want to talk about is at the end, but we'll just take a look at this video and see what he has to say about Creator Clash 3 being over, because I have thoughts. Also, spoiler alert: yeah, Creator Clash 3 is over. It was canceled.
Heard there's been a big update. Creator Clash 3 is officially canceled. We talked about it a bit ago, so I figured it was worth doing an update because we talked about it maybe a couple of months ago. But they finally posted today, we've made the difficult decision to cancel Creator Clash. All existing pay-per-view tickets will receive automatic refunds, no actions required. While the event will go as planned, all funds will still be donated to charity, and our fundraising efforts will continue the months ahead. Thank you to the fighters for their hard work. The Creator Clash team.
Was it this? Yeah, it was this one actually.
Which, if I'm being totally candid, is like long time coming. I think it's probably long time coming. This has been dead for a while and like on life support. You know, this has been in a vegetative state. So it is, I think, ultimately the right call that they canceled it. Because if they had gone through with it, I think it would have done so bad. Ethan Klein did it. Okay, I'm not trying to be controversial here, but I do think iDubbbz posting the content cop was one of the dumbest moves ever. Straight up. That was crazy. I think it was not considerate of how many other people would be dragged into the situation who don't give a fuck and just want to fight. You know, make that video when Creator Clash isn't happening, I would say. That makes no sense to me.
Like, and I'm gonna explain to you why that makes no sense. And I'm taking the kitty gloves off. You know, this is a boxing reference. Gloves come off of this. This makes no sense to Ludwig because Ludwig is an unprincipled person, right? And I say this as a fan of Ludwig. I watch a lot of Ludwig. I enjoy Ludwig's content. This makes no sense to Ludwig because Ludwig is an unprincipled person. Like that's the answer. That is the reason why it cannot comprehend why Ian made the content cop. I don't know if he saw the content cop. I don't know if he watched the content cop, but like Ian made it clear in the content cop, and the content cop itself is very clearly from the perspective of defending people who do not have a voice to speak out against somebody with tens of millions of followers across all platforms doing a harassment campaign against smaller creators. And he cannot fathom putting himself at a disadvantaged position in order to support people who don't have a voice. Have you considered that some of the biggest creators will be mildly inconvenienced by iDubbbz defending small creators? Won't anyone think of the millionaire creators? Yeah, it's so weird. And for whatever reason, right? The creator space, just as I spoke about earlier, doesn't care to defend the smaller creators here. Whether it's because they are deemed as unworthy of defense because they are political adjacent, right? Not even just talking about the women, right? But people who they put in a box of being adjacent or around politics, so therefore they're not worth defending. Like obviously, like Denim Frogan, Casey Tron, but also like myself, right? Capri, Raph. Like there are like a dozen small creators that Ethan has put in his crosshairs to spend his entire, content career now for the last 2 years disparaging and harassing. And for the only focus of this entire campaign is to be like, from the aspect of like, oh, what about the fighters? Oh, think of the fighters. I think that's saying something, right? For some reason, like small creators do not blip on Ludwig's radar to be talked about. For some reason, he doesn't care enough, right? And the mass harassment stoked by somebody who has, thousands of times our audience doesn't register enough to him for him to talk about or for him to cover. I don't know what that reason is. I genuinely have no clue. Maybe it's because he feels that as though Frogan has wronged him in the future or in the past. Therefore, like he doesn't think that she deserves his defense. Maybe he doesn't want to be put in the crosshairs of Ethan as he was in the past. I don't know what it is, right? But for some reason, like this space as a whole has deemed itself as, or has deemed us, being like me and my friends as unworthy of support, which is why he could only view this as like, oh, it was a bad business decision for Ian to create the content cop. You know, and that's the only way he can view it. And not as though like, you know, Ian's trying to defend people who he feels doesn't have a voice. You know who reached out to me when Ethan announced he was suing me? Ian did. Ian has 7 million subscribers on YouTube. He has a way larger established audience than I do. There's no reason for him to do something like that. Right? But he reached out to me to make sure that I was good, that I was okay. And for some reason, that doesn't register to Ludwig. I don't expect Ludwig to reach out to me specifically. You know what I mean? But like, that's not something that registers in his mind. That is unacceptable for Ludwig because it was a bad business decision. Because that's, for some reason, the only way Ludwig can view the situation. Maybe it's because of his whole mogul brand. It's on his freaking hoodie. It's on the hoodie that I bought from him for the last chess boxing event, you know? Maybe that's what the reason is. But the truth is that if you were to watch the content cop itself, you would know that he was doing so in order to speak out as a large creator against somebody who is stoking a mass harassment campaign. And Ludwig is mad because he didn't wait until that harassment campaign escalated even further, right? And didn't give another 6 to 8 months to call it out. It's just disappointing, right? This is not even about Ludwig. I'm not talking about this to like come for like Ludwig specifically. Ludwig is just a proxy for my anger here. Apologies to Ludwig for that. But like, this goes for like the entire space. It's not a Ludwig problem, right? It goes for the entire ecosystem. For some reason, it's not that people don't know or aren't aware about what Ethan Klein is doing. It's not as though Ethan is not like a part of the story. Like, Ludwig knows. This chatter brought it up, wherever it was.
But I do think Ethan Klein did it. Okay.
Like, he knows. He's aware. And for some reason, he either doesn't think the people that Ethan Klein is disparaging are worth protecting, or he thinks that they deserve it. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the answer to Ludwig is. I don't know if he thinks that a small creators here deserves Ethan's ire for whatever reason. I don't think if he thinks it's acceptable for Ethan to like weaponize his, again, multi-million follower audience against people with a fraction of his audience size consistently for months on months on end, right? But for whatever reason, this has not been a blip on his radar. And when it is get brought up, he has more of an issue with Ian actually doing what he should be doing. Like, if we're being real, right? He has more of an issue with Ian doing what this should be doing, speaking out, using his large established audience to speak out for people who don't have a voice. He has more of a problem with Ian doing what he should be doing than with the person who is stoking the harassment in the first place. That's what my issue is. That is what my problem is. Creator Clash 3 being canceled demands a video from Ludwig. But when it comes to the people who have been consistently harassed, right? Maybe Ludwig's not aware. Maybe Ludwig's not aware of the death threats that I get. The fact that me and everybody else involved in this have been doxxed. And I'm not even the main target here. The women in this situation get like 4, 5, 6 times that. Maybe Ludwig doesn't know. Maybe Ludwig is unaware. Or maybe he does know, he doesn't care. Maybe that's what it is, right? And if he is aware and he doesn't care, I can't support someone like that. That's the fire department, because they know I'm cooking, right? And I'm saying this because it's disappointing, because I like Ludwig. I have a little thing here. It has this little catchphrase on it, chat. It says, Mogul Boxing Club. I've bought merch from 2 people, and it's been Hassan and Ludwig. That's it. Where's your life-size Ludwig pillow? It's in the wash, right? But that's why it's so disappointing. Like, because what he's saying is, he's saying, oh, Ian should have made the content cop, you know, after Creative Clash was over. which is essentially him saying that the defense of the people, Ian's friends, essentially, could have been took a back seat to like the business decision and not on the fact that the people who were trying to torpedo the event from the jump. No beef for them. None at all. No words for the people who've organized collectively around tarnishing and diminishing the event at all. None. Ian should have done what Ludwig's doing now. Ian should have ignored smaller creators being harassed by somebody thousands of times their size. Because what about the fighters? And it just shows that, like, for whatever reason, we are not a blip on Ludwig's radar. Ludwig doesn't care about us. Doesn't care about the death threats we're receiving from the harassment stoked by Ethan Klein, who, again, I must add, is thousands of times larger than all of us combined. It's crazy.
Okay, I'm not trying to be controversial here, but I do think iDubbbz posting the content cop was one of the dumbest moves ever. Straight up. That was crazy. I think it was not considerate of how many other people would be dragged into the situation who don't give a fuck and just want to fight. You know, make that video when Creator Clash isn't happening, I would say. That makes no sense to me. It did not help the event.
So gross. It's so gross. It's so gross. It's so disgusting. Right? Because again, maybe Ludwig didn't see it, but you know who did see it? I saw it. I saw the harassment that Frogan was getting. Right? Maybe Ludwig's curated Twitter feed didn't see, right, all the disgusting memes that were posted by not just Ethan Klein's community, but Destiny's community, Asmongold's community, Tectone's community, all the slop tubers communities. Maybe he didn't see that, but you know who saw that? I saw that. You know who saw that? Ian saw that. That's why the video was made, Ludwig. Ian saw that. And he thought that was unacceptable. Maybe you think it's fine. Maybe you think it's okay. And that's cool, right? You should say that, right? So I know not to support you, right? If you think that harassment is cool and chill, let me know, right? I can send that shit back to Goodwill right now. I can take that shit to Goodwill right now. Let me know, right? But Ian is the only person with a large audience that, you know, saw the shit that Ethan is doing as unacceptable and called it out the way it should have been. And what I'm so confused about is Ludwig is literally getting shit on right now from those same. How does he not understand this? How does he not understand? How does he not understand that this mindset that he has, that to just let this slide, is what gets him on when he messes up eventually? The slop tubers will eventually come after you too. He's getting that now. And you would think that maybe he would understand that, like, those people are like piranhas. They sense the littlest amount of blood in the water and they go feral. And that if you don't call that in this space that we all occupy, eventually when you start to bleed a little bit too, they're gonna come after you. So even if you don't care about Frogan or Denims or myself, right, or Casey Tron, Taylor Lorenz, Anissa, Ian, or all of the people that Ethan Klein is harassing, you have to at least have a little bit of self-preservation, the smallest amount of self-preservation, to understand that when you allow like that to fester in this space, when you allow the drama farmers to continue to harass people smaller than you, eventually it's going to come to you as well. It's so disappointing.
Whatsoever. It hurt the event. No one went to bat but Hassan for him. But like, also, Hassan's audience isn't watching fucking boxing events. What is that? That's not, I don't know. At some point you have to realize you're operating a business, and I mean, you have to make the call. Like, what's more important, is the business or you know, making the videos you want to make, which is like your own call to make.
I'm sorry, you can't say this when you completely, the only time Ludwig has ever talked about Creator Clash is to talk about how much it's failing, right? Does he not understand that he was a part of the event failing as well? Him and everybody else in the space that ignored people literally shooting at the event with guns and stuff are surprised when the event dies and bleeds out. They're like, oh no, the event's bleeding out. Why didn't the event wear a bulletproof vest? Instead of being like, let's stop shooting the event. Let's not do that, actually. I would appreciate that not being the case. Like, at no point did Ludwig ever address any part of Creator Clash 2 or 3, right, that caused for it to get to this point in the first place. The only thing he has to say about why it failed was just, oh, it was the content cop, actually. That's what did it. And not the fact that Nazis were trying to torpedo the event last year, right? And then the drama slop tubers, along with the Nazis, along with Ethan Klein, successfully torpedoed the event this year. He didn't address that at all, right? Because Ludwig doesn't care about the event. No matter how much he claims to care about boxing, or I just wanted to see some boxing. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you did not. You did not want to see any boxing. Because if you actually did want to see the boxing, and you did want to see the event, you would have talked about the people who were trying to get the event to fail for the last 6 months, at least. But it's so easy. It's so easy to sit on a high horse and being like, you know, if only Ian operated in the way that I would have operated as an event organizer, which don't even get me started on that, right? The event would have been super successful and nobody would have been mad at him. Well, that's just not the case.
But anyway, I'm kind of sad about it. I won't lie. I'm kind of sad about it.
Like, no, he's not. If he wanted the event to actually happen, you know what he could have done? Talked about the people who were trying to get it to end. He could have supported the event. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed it, right? Like, I will apologize. I'm so sorry, Ludwig, if I missed it, chat. If you can find me, Ludwig talking about the event positively instead of just in this drama shit-stirring avenue, right? I'll apologize for it. But all I've seen from Ludwig is him being like, oh, this event is surrounded by controversy, which I won't even talk about what the controversy is, by the way. And that's it. That's all.
Mainly because I know a lot of the people that were fighting in the event, and I was looking forward to seeing them fight. You know, like I was looking forward to the Minecraft bout, the Sapnap in Tubbo. I wanted to see Myth fight again.
If that was the case, why would you not talk about the people who were trying to get the event to fail? It doesn't make sense to me. Even before the content cop, it doesn't make sense. If he genuinely cared, why would he not talk about the people who were trying to get the event to fail? Like, he could have promoted the event while it was on. Because he doesn't care. He doesn't. Right? I think this is purely about how it makes Ludwig look. He knows that it will look good if he calls out Ian for making the content cop. He wants the drama sloppers to be like, oh yeah, even Ludwig calling out Ian.
Really wanted to see Odd Ones Out versus Will Neff. I thought that was going to be a crazy fight. Trevor's a friend of mine. We play basketball every Sunday. I know how hard he's been training. I mean, that's another thing too. The trainers or the fighters have been training so hard. So it's kind of sad that they won't get to, you know, see the what's the phrase? The fruits of their soil, the fruits of their labor. Yeah, I think that's sad. I will say, I watched this video from Dad. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's a heartbreaker. This video was so sad. This video was so sad. It made me feel so bad.
Like, he cares more about the fighters than like the, dozens of people who were being harassed by, not even just Ethan stans, by the way, but like everybody involved. And it's just like, honestly, I think that perfectly illustrates Ludwig's position. You feel me? I genuinely think that like maybe if like all the small creators, if they were clouded enough, maybe he would then care. Right? That's the mogul move, chat. That's the mogul move. Maybe if Rogan had 20,000 average viewers, then like maybe he'd talk about Ethan Klein harassing her. Probably not, but maybe. But for some reason, he thought he didn't care enough, or he didn't want to address the harassment angle. Anytime he talked about it, going as far as to like defend the harassment angle a little bit here by being like, someone was like, oh, this is Ethan Klein's doing. He's like, actually, it was Ian's fault. Which, like, again, act like Ian made the content cop out of in a vacuum. Oh no, Ian just wanted to fuck over his own event for like no reason, He wanted to like wade in the drama slop for like no reason, and not the fact that like Ethan was crashing out and harassing a bunch of his friends and smaller creators as a whole. Now, Ian just wasn't as good of a businessman as Mogul Moves himself here is, you know?
Training because the event's canceled now and it's just over and there's just no more money. And it's really messing me up and it's really hard for me to be okay with this. That's why I'm making this stupid video, because I'm upset. It sucks. I put my heart into this. I got freaking beat hard this year, harder than I ever had. And I thought, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna train like a freaking professional. Keep my head down, avoid this drama, and now here I am, screwed.
At this point, I just started getting too worked up, so I'm now just ending the video. When I filmed this, I just sort of spilled my guts and got kind of worked up. Then I remembered more things I wanted to say, and I tried to compose myself a little bit better, so the video's a bit wild. The last thing
Ian and Issa first. I don't know why this is over. This looked over so much, because they don't care. They don't care, right? It's a lot easier to just to point the finger at Ian, be like, Ian is bad, so you can like get onto the side of the drama sloppers, whatever, to actually have a principled take in the first place, you know? Which the only person who did in the situation is Ian. That's it. The only person who did in the situation is Ian. Ian saw, right, smaller creators, including his friends, being harassed by a large creator. Ian had the audience, right? He had the audience side. He had the notoriety. You know, he had the privilege, white man privilege. He stepped in front of the bullet saying, like, Ethan, leave these people alone. If you're going to attack somebody, attack me. And then Ethan was like, actually, I'm going to go back to attacking your event instead. And I will still attack the women surrounding you. And then people were like, oh, it's Ian's fault for putting himself in harm's way to protect the smaller creators and not Ethan, who was doing the harassing. Like, it's so crazy. And this goes for everybody in this space, by the way. Everybody in the space. I don't know if because the smaller creators here aren't clouded enough to demand respect. The small women creators who are being harassed, if they are too political for people. But the truth of the matter is that nobody in the space is standing up to the fact that there's a multi-million follower creator who's using its audience, right, and weaponizing its audience against people who just don't have the means to defend themselves. Nobody. This isn't exclusive to Ludwig, right? But you can literally go down the list of the top streamers, sorted from top to the bottom by how many viewers they have. And besides like Hassan, nobody else wants to address a multi-million follower creator doing this and weaponizing his audience.
I want to say is that I always tried to be respectful of them, publicly and personally, when I was talking to them. I've always given them the benefit of the doubt and never really wanted to place blame on them or anyone. And then it turns out they were just talking trash about me behind my back. Ian's coach said on H3 that they used to say I was weird and talk trash about me, and then I also heard the same thing from Froggy Fresh 2 years ago. I don't care if people think I'm weird.
Like again, I'm not coming at this person. I don't know this person or whatever. But like, I just for a second, just how can you ignore like the H3 angle? It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You feel me? Like, Ethan Klein is not an apolitical audience or not an apolitical space, a neutral third party here. Neither is Froggy Fresh. The entire beef about, again, why people were harassing and trying to torpedo Creator Clash was because Froggy Fresh was training with a Nazi, right? A pedophile Nazi. What are we talking about here? Literally bringing up the other creators who worked so hard to not. And not the outside sources who was dead is working with 24/7 to make sure that this would even suffer. Yeah, like he literally brought up the two groups of people who were trying to torpedo the event. He's like, I didn't want to talk trash about them, but then I found out that the people who were trying to get the event to fail said they were saying mean things about me. So that actually now it's all their faults. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Weird, because I do make weird videos. I like being different and unique. I'm used to people saying I'm weird. I was just very surprised that it was happening by two other creative people. I thought they were like me, and I didn't expect them to make fun of me for being different. I thought that was the point of Creator Clash, was to gather the unique people and put them in a boxing ring. I guess not.
So there you go. That's everything. That's my...
Dude, this video is so sad. The whole...
I just want to. Okay, I do find it interesting that like Ludwig has like tears to shed for dad in this video, but again, no words for the women or people of color that Ethan Klein has that don't have this that's an established audience that Ethan Klein was harassing for the last 2 years directly. Again, maybe he doesn't know. Like genuinely, maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he doesn't know. I'm trying to give him the benefit. Maybe he doesn't know. But the fact that like this is what he chooses to focus on, as opposed to like again, what is happening with or what dad is talking about here. I'm not saying it's good. That's the bad thing, and it's happening as a direct result of the harassment campaign that people like Froggy Fresh and Ethan Klein have stirred up.
Video is sad. I mean, it gives the context of, you know, why he boxes. And it's also like more interesting, obviously, to hear from the perspective of someone who like does this and it's much more important because of like the importance of the financial aspects. You know, not to say that the hard work of someone who's got a lot of money isn't as valuable, but the risk is much smaller, right? The inherent risk of giving away time from your job when you have enough money that you can take that time off, I think makes it sad too, that context. But dude, it is sad. But I think he also said in the video he might do a Misfits fight. He might be on a Misfits card, which could be cool. I feel like all the time lost from work is the worst part of it all. Yeah. I mean, Ginger Pale, you trained, right? You've been training, no? Yeah, I'm ready to punch. Brother, I'm not your ticket. I'm sorry. I am not your ticket. I am not your ticket. I cannot run a chess boxing event. I am sorry. I'm sorry. Oh man. When did you find out it was canceled? I wonder when you found out. I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say that, but I have been waiting a bit for them to announce it. I see. I think not. Well, this is not legal advice, so you know, operate how you would like to. I don't think you're beholden to shit anymore, brother. The event is canceled. If they spend the last of the funds pursuing litigation, I mean, I think you have the internet on your side in that universe. But of course, you know, you also don't have to say shit you don't want to say.
It's just disappointing, right? And maybe that's why I'm not big mogul moves guy. Maybe that's not why I'm not sitting with like a 1.6 million subscribers on my second channel, right? Maybe that's why I am, you know, not one of the biggest streamers in the world. Because I couldn't do that. I could not see my friends. Scratch that. I couldn't see small creators being harassed by people with millions of followers and not say something. Right? I couldn't see women online being directly targeted, right, due to misogyny and not saying something. I couldn't do it. And maybe you need to have that mindset of like, I care about me and mine before anybody else in order to be successful. And if that's the case, and this is my ceiling, having that take, then this is my ceiling, you know?